that we don't know. That's part of what still needs to be worked out. But there is going to be an expanded college football playoff. And as you can already tell, as we sort of talk our way through this, there are plenty of questions to answer. And that's been acknowledged as well by the playoff committee, and everybody reporting on this. There's a lot more to work out as far as how all of this eventually unfolds. But we've got the basic bare bones of it, and it is going to be a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, and I'm reading a Ross Dellinger tweet that Mark Keenum, the CFP board chair, they are kind of exploring the possibility of saying, we've asked them to explore the possibility before the 2026 season. So there does seem to be a push towards trying to get it to 2024 or 2025. So it seems that way, at least, that it will happen sooner, but obviously that's probably going to take a lot of votes and quite a few meetings. But hopefully that is done sooner rather than later. I'd rather it happen as soon as possible.
Sure. we don't have to get this thing done by December, but yeah, we'd like to know the details. And man, there's just, my mind's, I don't know about everybody out there. We're all such big college football fans, but especially with all the stuff we've been talking about over the last couple of months with expansion and, who's in, who's out. How does this work? I mean, again, like when all the dust settles, whenever that is, and it feels like it's going to be another year or two. But now, we've gone from where OU and Texas have joined the SEC, and then all of the fallout that took place at, other levels as a result, just trickled downhill, basically. And then this year, the shock of the LA schools, and we see the maneuvering of Kevin Warren in the Big Ten, and we've given him his flowers, and we've told him how great he is. But, this might even be, even more out there than we already know because of the Notre Dame factor in the bye part of this conference champion, the conference champion bye for the top 4 seeds. And then you think about, kind of the pause that's been taken on Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Cal. And then all of a sudden the Big Ten, let's tap the brakes just a little bit on that. At least it appears that way. You got the Pac trying to survive. Well, what does this do for the Pac-12? This gives them a major life raft, you would think, on paper, because they have a path now.
Yeah, unless
the Big 12 has a path.
Unless they lose more teams.
Unless they lose more. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though, is what does this turn in? This isn't we didn't get a playoff and now everybody's done. So, yeah, how we need some more details, but is this a lifesaver or just the last blow for the Pac-12? Is this the lifesaver or a fatal blow for the Big 12? I mean, what is this ultimately for everybody involved? I think everybody's probably sorting through that right now, but if nothing else, it is incredibly interesting that we're now in this spot where, it got kicked down the road and now here we are and there's so many more questions, but this is another game-changing moment for the sport, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Pac-12, you're pushing this to get done as soon as possible because you need something to sell your current members. And I will say, I mean, if you're Oregon, you're sitting there and going, okay, so if the CFP comes in 2024 and we get this relatively easy path to the college football playoff with no USC, no UCLA, that's kind of appealing, right? Because you can go make up the money that you've lost if you're making the college football playoff every year, which they should be able to do in the Pac-12. I mean, if you go 11-2, win the conference, you're automatically in. I think that's pretty appealing.
Well, let us know what you think on the text line, and also we're efforting. Smokey, I think, locked away the password for the text line. He's kept that all to himself. No, in all seriousness, we're going to get into all of your feedback. I know there's a ton of it on the chat room and whatnot. And Grayson, as you're sorting through that, just if you see things of interest that folks are commenting on, just pass along willingly.
Yeah, there's one comment on here, and it's talking about why, how on any planet is Baylor ranked ahead of Georgia in last year's college football playoff? But it has nothing to do with who the better team was. It has nothing to do with what was seen on field. All it has to do with is Baylor was a higher ranked conference champion, and Georgia was not a conference champion. So that's the only reason why last year Georgia would have been 5 instead of 4. Because the top 4 teams have to be conference champions, and it's the highest ranked conference champions get that first round bye.
Yeah, and that was a loose version. I think there would have probably, like we said, would have been some tweaking to that, most likely, as far as trying to avoid some of the Big Ten corner of that bracket, for example.
And there would be. They would. They would probably put, a Utah instead of a Michigan State, or replace Michigan State with Ole Miss, something like that to make it even more appealing, which honestly, once you get down to that many teams, I'm fine if they want to move teams around a little bit. It's really just the top 4 need to be sure that they get their 4 spots, and then whoever the home teams are, to be honest.
Yeah, so there's a lot to sort through, and that was just, if any